For our final segment tonight, there will be readings of letters written by one of the world's best letter writers. Dad has always been able to convey feelings so beautifully in letters, and his book of letters, All the Best, was recently re-released by Simon & Schuster. When you read the compilation of letters, you can see into the heart of a man whose life sets a high bar for service, wisdom, love, friendship, and devotion to family. To read the first letter tonight, please welcome Lauren Bush. Lauren.
The following is an excerpt from a letter written by my grandfather to his mom from the U.S. Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi, Texas, where he was stationed in 1943. Dear Mom, I got a letter from F. von Stade. He was on a 14-day furlough at Aiken, recovering from pneumonia. What a break. Anyway, he called up Barbara. He claims Barbara said she was glad I was in Texas, where the girls are lousy, so maybe I'm still in. Red in Texas. I sure hope so. If she fluffed me off without warning, I would be absolutely sick, no kidding. Every day, practically, guys are getting fluffed off from girls they've left. All the time it happens. You know, Mom, it's funny being thrown in with a bunch of guys so much older. They don't seem older, but here they are, all thinking and talking about getting married, etc. Everyone asks me after they look at Barbara's picture when I'm going to marry her. Good heavens. To think that last year, at this time, I was thinking along the lines of prep school proms and stuff seems unbelievable. That's the hard part. Being around guys averaging 22 when it's natural to think as they do on general things, and yet my 18 years keep coming up. I wish I were 20 or 21. It's not that I feel younger or anything, but I just wish I were. The fellows whose lives may be better for this thing are those who graduated last fall or Christmas from college. They have a degree and can probably still get a decent job after the war and still will profit from having had military experience. Say the war ends in 2 years and I go to college. I'll feel like an old man. All my friends will be through. That'll all straighten out, though, and if you think I'd change with any of those fellows at Yale, you're sadly mistaken. I still would like to be 21, have $1 million and a beautiful wife. I can remember how I once said I wasn't going to get married. I do still love, I honestly feel sure of it, Barbara, Mom. Yet I know that there's such a chance of her meeting some other guy. She is so very young and so darn attractive. And I could hardly expect her to keep caring about me for years. Enough of this. You must both think I'm crazy. Much love, Pop.
The next letter my Gampy wrote to his good friend Carl Cannon about 10 years ago. Dear Carl, here within some pursuits of happiness thoughts. You ask about the pursuit of happiness at a good time in my life. I've pursued life itself over many years now and with varying degrees of happiness. But now, at 77, I find that I am perfectly content to let history be the judge of those things I got right and of my mistakes in life as well. Mine has been a happy life. In competitive business, I was very happy, though restless and somewhat driven. In politics, I had victories and defeats, but for the most part, I was very happy. In big government jobs here and abroad, I was fortunate to get to live my life's creed, which says public service is a noble calling. As president, I knew the challenges and liked them and worked hard to do my best to accomplish things of magnitude. I grew to detest the pack mentality of the national press. And in looking over my shoulder, I found that many of my presidential predecessors felt the same way. All through those business and political years, I was pursuing goals, trying to accomplish things, trying to have my life be one that would benefit others. Now, I no longer pursue happiness. I have happiness, great happiness. Some of my happiness still comes from trying to be, in my own small way, a true point of light. I believe I was right when I said, as president, there can be no definition of a successful life that does not include service to others. So I do that now, and I gain happiness. I do not seek a Pulitzer Prize. I do not want press attention. I don't crave sitting at the head table or winning one of the many coveted awards offered by many of the organizations across the land. No, I have found happiness. I no longer pursue it, for it is mine. Pride in my family guarantees that happiness. That one son as president of the United States might say it all, but it doesn't. Our governor's son in Florida is part of this happiness because through him and the president, I can still live and be a part of the vast political scene. But my happiness stems too from our other 2 sons, our only daughter, from our all 5 spouses, and from our 14 grandkids. I'm happy when I read, happy when I can help someone else, happy when surrounded by friends. But much of my true happiness stems from watching those grandkids and fishing with them and challenging them and teasing them. And then there's Barbara Bush. With her, I pursued my happiness before we were married way back in early 1945. But now there is no pursuit. Our happiness together is locked in. It is as they say in golf, a give me. It is strong, unbendable, and rock solid. So let the great philosophers and those who still strive to be something pursue and write of that pursuit. For those not quite there yet, I can say pursue happiness until you find it. The pursuit must include helping others, giving of yourself to a cause bigger than yourself, and it must surely include the love of family. Some think there's no pot of gold at the end of that striking rainbow. Life is that rainbow, and having pursued happiness during my life, I have found it, and it will be mine until the day I die. George Bush.
The note I'm about to read requires just a very short backstory. As Gampy would say a few summers ago when I was a slightly younger lad, I was in Maine with Gampy on the boat. And we came back from lunch in Algonquin. We pulled up to the dock near our house, and Gampy looked at me and he said, "Pierce, take the boat out to the mooring and tether it, solo it. This is your time." For those of you who know my grandfather well, you know that his boat, that 34-foot, 900 horsepower Fidelity is his singular most prized possession. He loves this boat so much, material possession. Long story short, I slowly backed it up, and I could give you a litany of excuses. But the point of the story is this. The boat was not tethered on the mooring. It instead found itself kind of nicely beached, dry docked, if you will, along the rather rocky coast along our house, and was there for about 5 hours. It was out of commission for 2 weeks. I felt incredibly down about this. To add insult to injury, though, the next day was one of those rainy days in Maine. I took my cousin Robert to the new Batman movie in Ganny's brand new smart car. Ganny, in our family, we affectionately call Ganny the enforcer because she makes sure we follow the rules. One of the rules happens to be, do not take Ganny's smart car without asking her for permission. Well, here's the deal. She had just had double knee surgery a few days before, so I thought that rule had been sidelined. I was definitely wrong. After coming back from the movie with Robert, I got an earful about the rule, and I was even kind of more down in the dumps. It felt like it was just one of those weeks where nothing goes right. And I went out to dinner with my dad. I think John and Terry Havens, I just met them during the earful that I got. And I came back to Walker's Point, went up to the 3rd floor, and on my bed laid this note that says, "To my man Pierce." And I think it's a true testament of not only my grandfather's character, but his amazing ability to reach out to somebody when they are kind of down and out. I'll read the note. "Pierce, I remember days when I felt I could do nothing right, but then the sun would come up and a bright new day would embrace me. Do not worry about the boat or the car incidents. You are a good man who got a bad bounce, but all is well. Believe me, I hate to see you worrying and down. You brighten my life, so forget yesterday and today's little, the underlined little, incidents. You the man. And I love you. Ganny does too. Gampy.